with the principles, you need to understand the why you shall not, because the information is out there. And so tonight we're just going to give you some information so you can know now why you shouldn't do certain things, because the information is available. Some things God wants us to take by faith. There are some things we don't have to take by faith because the information is there. What we have to do is just access the information. It's published, it's there. God wants us to know it. God wants us to live according to the light. And so we won't be dealing so much in principle, but we'll deal with specifics. I wish I had time to deal with everything. I just don't have time to deal with it all. I need another invitation to come. We can take 2 weeks just dealing with health. It's that much information out there. It's that important. And we can take that much time and we still wouldn't exhaust it. Wow. We still wouldn't exhaust it. You know, there's just so much out there. So we'll be teasing you with this because I just, in the time constraints we have, we just can't do any better. So we hope this will bless you. Amen. We're going to use Ecclesiastes 10:17 for our foundation. Word of God says, eat for what purpose?
Strength.
For strength and not for drunkenness. So what do you think that text is saying?
Don't be overeating.
Temperance. Don't be a glutton. Yes. I think I shared with you the purpose really to eating is not to satisfy a gluttonous appetite so much as it is to provide the body with the nutrients that it needs to sustain life. Amen. And if we remember that our taste buds are perverted, we've got to learn how to eat what the body needs and stop concerning ourselves with so much as to whether or not something tastes good, because our taste buds are perverted. And so those taste buds have to be retrained so that we can now begin to have a relish for the things that are healthy, for the things that promotes life. Amen? Amen? Okay, so the purpose of eating is to sustain life. All right, everybody understand?
Yes.
It's to sustain life. You know. Again, we're still laying a little bit of a principle. Those who will preserve their powers, unprepared for the service of God, what must they do, saints of God?
Must observe strict temperance.
They must observe strict temperance in the use of what? All boundaries, as well as what? Total abstinence from every injurious or debasing indulgence. See, you've got to come and accept this fact. God expects me to stop putting things in my body that are harmful to my body. I've got to make up in my mind, I'm going to stop. And I'm not sitting here trying to tell you it's easy, but I'm telling you that through Christ Jesus, you can do it. Amen. You got to learn to depend upon Him. You got to ask Him for some power. You got to ask Him for some strength. Amen. See that Bible I read? I keep telling you about that Bible I read. It's wonderful. See that Bible I read, it uses is now unto Him that is able to keep me from falling. Amen. So you got to make that thing perfect. You got to understand that God has all the power you will ever need. Amen. And He will never ask you to do anything except that He is willing to give you the power that you need to fulfill the task.
Wow.
Amen. God is just that awesome.
Yes.
He already knows you can't do it on your own strength. But He said, I got the power, I got the strength. You just got to ask for it.
Yes. Yes.
Intellectual power, physical strength, and longevity depend upon immutable laws. There is no happen so, no chance about this matter. Listen to this, saints, because this is important. Heaven will not interfere to preserve men from the consequences of the violation of nature's law. Here's what has happened. Seventh-day Adventists are going to hospitals and they're dying prematurely because they've been violating the laws of health, and God decides, I'm not going to stop that. You can pray all you want. I'm not going to interfere with that process. Wow. See, if you're doing all you can to make yourself sick, God doesn't see any reason to do anything. He needs you to make you well. Amen. In fact, there were individuals who would ask Ellen White to pray for them, and she wouldn't pray for them, but God has showed up, pray for them. don't pray for them. Because the principle that God knew that should he restore them to health, that they would go right back to doing the same thing that made them sick in the first place. And God ain't nothing to play with.
Right. Amen.
And so consequently, there were people that Ellen White would not pray for.
Wow.
Simply because they would not be obedient to the law of death. And so sometimes, when you're praying and you're asking God to give you the victory over certain things, you're asking God to heal you and he'll come. You need to start looking at your lifestyle choices and see what is preventing God from answering that prayer in the affirmative and make the changes so that God can now move on your behalf.
Amen. Amen.
The laws of health need to be what, saints of God? They need to be obeyed. Amen. Let's deal with this number one. What does that look like to you?
Meat.
Fish. All right. Fish. So the question is, are fish safe to eat?
No.
Well, we're going to deal with that. We'll deal with something else about that too. Fish and seafood have long been a center of controversy these days. Many of us are still left wondering, are fish still safe to eat? Here's where we're at. You got half the church stuck in Leviticus 11. You got half the church, I don't even say half, let's say a portion of the church, trying to do what's right. And it's a ball of confusion. Because people just don't know. People who are not reading and studying for themselves really don't know. They actually think that the standard is in Leviticus chapter 11. And I told you, where's the standard? Genesis. What chapter?
One, that is in the beginning.
You got you in chapter 4, you go up too far. Chapter 1 and 2. Chapter 1 and 2. So, and remember I told you Malachi 3:6 says what?
I am. He haven't changed.
God doesn't change. So if God does not change, then the standard for our dietary needs have to be found in Genesis and not Leviticus.
Amen.
Amen.
The principle found in Leviticus, let me just say this while we're here, is the same principle that God allowed Moses to reiterate when he gave them permission to give them some written divorce. But divorce was never God's will.
Yeah, right. Amen.
But he let Moses do this for one reason, because of the hardness of the people's heart. They were doing what they wanted to do, and it was messing up people's lives, and they were moving on, and they had more. And so Moses looked, yeah, so these people can move on, just give them a writ of divorce. But it was because of the hardness of the heart. But watch now. Jesus comes back on the scene, and he reestablishes the marriage covenant. And so he put it back and said, no, that was just temporary. So we're no longer going to adhere to that. We're going back to the standard that again was established in Genesis. Okay. Well, yes, ma'am, they are, and I wish I had time. I think I do have time. I don't know about
We
me.
had an alcoholic, or you had a drug addict, because they said drug is so, and so that stuff is still happening, so,
Okay, well, let me put it to you this way.
I mean, in the world today.
Do you really want to hear it? Do you really want to hear it?
Yeah,
You really want to hear it?
yeah, because you gotta help the young people.
Okay. We're going to help everybody.
I wanna help everybody.
We're going to help everybody.
Yeah.
Listen to me. What did the marriage vow say?
Through it all.
For better, worse, sickness, health, richer, or for how long? Drug addiction is not an authorization for divorce.
Amen. Amen.
That's a personal preference.
So they should know about that person before they marry. That's what I'm saying. So you see all this, I mean, just take
You're absolutely correct. They should.
Drugs, and so that's what I'm saying.
They should. So I'm just reiterating, here's what's happening. The divorce rate in the Seventh-day Adventist Church is 50%, just like it is in the world.
Amen.
It's equal, it's exactly the same. Meaning we're married and divorced just like the world does.
Amen.
But the problem is this, some of us don't realize you're still married in the sight of God.
That's right.
Amen.
And so you wind up in a mess, you know, because you think you got a right to move on because the law, the land told you you could, but you didn't have a biblical reason to divorce in the first place.
Amen.
And by the way, what is the only biblical reason? I'll give you two. I'm been on to give you two. But what is the number one? Adultery. And what would the other one I would be willing to
Put
give?
his hands on you. Abuse.
Yeah.
Because the abuse violates the marriage covenant.
Amen.
No, it actually means when one is cheating, right?
It does.
Now, if you dealing with someone that's on drugs, like I'm speaking of me.
I'm trying to stop before you go there.
I once was on drugs and I wasn't fulfilling my manly job, so I was cheating.
That's why I'm trying to stop you before you go there, because I know where you're going.
Okay.
That's not a reason. That's not cheating.
Okay.
That's not cheating.
Okay.
If one spouse leaves, they just outright just leave. Isn't that, I thought that was one of the.
Abandonment,
Abandonment.
Yeah.
but you still married, huh?
That's a tricky one.
Yeah.
It's a tricky one. Here's what you got to do. Even if they abandon you, if they never remarry, or you can't prove that they committed adultery, you probably don't want to get remarried. However, this now, you can prove that they are committing adultery. And by the way, having a boyfriend or a girlfriend is adultery.
Yes, sir.
It's adultery. You don't have to see them in the act. You don't have to get no FBI agent to take no pictures. Because the truth of the matter is, once you start talking about you already married, you talk about this is my boyfriend, this is my girl, you've already committed adultery.
That's the sign right here.
You've already committed adultery.
Amen.
So in that case, you can go ahead and move on with your life.
Amen.
Okay, but let's stay on topic. Let's stay on topic. So here's what y'all do. Y'all get me off these points, and I can't get finished with my PowerPoint. Because y'all ready to go when it's time to go. Listen to this. Michael Hawthorne and Sam wrote the Chicago Tribune report that the United States Safety Net for safeguarding consumers against the increased mercury levels in fishes and hammers. In the article, the reporters detailed the fate of one particular piece of fish. Watch this now. Shipped from Singapore, the swordfish entered the U.S. this year without being tested for the toxic metal mercury. When a fillet from the fish reached the display case at a supermarket in suburban Des Moines, it carried no government warning labels, even though federal officials know swordfish often is so contaminated that young children and pregnant women should never eat it. The Chicago Tribune actually bought and tested a portion of this fish, which produced alarming results. When the Tribune bought and tested this particular piece of fish, the results showed not just high amounts of mercury, but levels 3 times the legal limit. So what are you saying, Pastor? We're saying that it's never have been safe to eat in terms of the mercury. And here's what you have to understand. The bigger the fish, the more the mercury. And by the way, anything that comes out the ocean ain't safe to eat anyway. How many of us know that almost all your big cities all around the world dump their garbage in the ocean? And these fish eat that garbage, and then you turn around and eat the fish. So you eat garbage secondhand. And you think that it's not going to have an adverse effect in your body. You kidding yourself.
Wow.
Hawthorne and Roy point out that the dangers lurking in fish and in the actions of the U.S. health officials. Even though mercury can cause learning disabilities in children and neurological problems in adults, regulators do not even bother routinely to check fish for metal.
Wow.
Here's what I want you to understand, and we'll deal with this a little later on too. Because you go to the grocery store, and it's got a stamp on there that says USDA inspected and approved. That don't mean that.
Right.
Because half the time they don't even inspect it, they just stamp it.
Amen.
So you must understand, that means absolutely nothing.
Garbage.
This leaves consumers with little idea about which fish are most dangerous. In some cases, regulators have ignored the advice of their own scientists, who concluded that mercury was far more dangerous than what consumers are being told. Here's what I want you to understand. These inspectors are being paid off by the people in the food industry. And they turn their head and let garbage pass on by for food. And then you eat it. And now you expect God to bless you for eating that. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. If you're going to eat it, just eat it and don't pray over it. Just eat it. Because it's a waste of time. How are you going to ask God to bless that? What are you going to do to it? Take the mercury out of it? That's just one aspect. Watch this now. In his book, Eat to Live, Dr. Furman explains that consumption of fish creates a paradox. Watch this paradox, it's interesting. Fish contains omega-3 fatty acids, EPA and DHA, that interfere with blood clotting much the same way aspirin does. Once you have significant atherosclerosis, it is helpful to take such anti-clogging agents, especially if you continue in a dangerous diet. Meat period would be the dangerous diet. These fish-derived fats also have some effect on protecting the arterial walls from damage from other fats. So it seems as if there's a benefit that you can derive from eating fish. Don't it seem like that? It seems like that's what it's saying. But let's keep on reading. Let's keep on reading. But fish is also high in what? It's also high in fat. Often 60% of the calories come from fat. This fat is effortlessly incorporated into a person's body fat, contributing to the risk of obesity. And y'all know how we like our fish. We like our fish fried. In some dead oil. So the fish can be even more dead. Watch this now. Fish fat is, watch this now, fish fat is usually associated with a low risk of cancer. However, there's considerable evidence that fish fat, omega-3 fat, will increase a person's risk of cancer and also will increase the risk of metastasis, spread the cancer to other parts of the body. So now you're trying to figure out, can the benefits outweigh all the deficits? By the way, while I'm here, that also means you need to stop taking supplements that have fish oil in it. Leave them alone too. Adam and Eve didn't have no fish supplements in the garden. They harvest all right, yours will be okay too. All right, watch this now. Fish fat is known to do what? Paralyze the actions of insulin and increase the tendency for high blood sugars and eventually diabetes. You eat enough fish, you're going to be a diabetic. Watch this now.
That's crazy.
All right. Fish fat is also known to suppress the immune system. Keep on eating fish, your body ain't going to be able to fight off no diseases. Keep on eating it if you want to. And then last but not least, and fish fat is also known to increase the tendency for serious bleeding. All that to be able to enjoy a piece of fish.
A piece of fish is supposed to be good for you.
So,
Praise.
now here's where you, so Pastor, what you shared with us will share with you now, you have no logical reason and no excuse to ever put it back in your mouth. Because you know now the harmful effects that it has on your body. All of it. Fish.
Fish.
Toothfish is high in mercury. It's a big fish. Salmon, big fish. They're high in mercury. Leave it alone.
What else is that with fins?
All of it.
Fish is a fish is a fish.
What about the filter fish?
I already know what that is, but if I was you, I'd leave it alone.
They just pray on it, that's all.
Tell it, saints. And so what is God doing, saints? God is taking away our excuse to continue to eat these things. Because now we've got scientific evidence that it's not healthy. Amen. All right. Now let's deal with this. Some of y'all still in the book of Leviticus. Now listen, by the way, when you're Googling and you see Dr. Neil Bernard, MD, you stop and read that. This is a bad one. He wasn't the best doctors in the world on this. In fact, if I was you, I'd go home and Google him and download this stuff because this man knows what he's talking about. One of the best doctors in America. Dr. Neil Bernard, I'm telling you what I know. I got a lot of his material. One of the best doctors in the world. Listen what he says, though. He says, meat, any meat. How much meat? Any meat does what? Cause flies. It promotes intolerable suffering and disease, not only among animals, but also for many Americans by raising their risk of what? Heart disease, what else? Diabetes, what else? Breast cancer, then what else? And then early death. Now this is a heart, and by the way, he's a heart specialist. Now this heart specialist telling you don't eat none of it.
Amen.
Now how you gonna go back to the book of Leviticus and tell them, well, God told us we could eat clean and unclean?
Just not the fat.
This is what the servant of the Lord says. She said that meat is not essential for health or strength. Else the Lord made a mistake when he provided food for Adam and Eve before their fall. How many? All the elements of nutrition are contained in the fruits, vegetables, and grains. You get everything you need in fruits, vegetables, and grains. Amen?
Amen.
Did we kill that argument or do I need to go on?
No.
Let's go on. Listen to this. The United States Senate, oh y'all better listen to this. The United States Senate has been told in hearings by food inspectors that labels on meat which read USDA inspected and approved should be changed to read eat at your own risk. By the way, for those of you who seem to like chicken breast, they did a survey, they found out all this chicken breast that you buy at the store contains feces. So you get more than a little bit breast with your chicken. You're getting your breast in some mess. That mess probably would give it the flavor. Now, this guy happens to be a meat inspector. And he's saying, and he's telling us that he's people has diseased animals through. I want y'all to get this one. This comes from a book called, its acronym is AIDS. It stands for Animals in the Digestive System. It's written by a black guy. Rumor was they threatened his life when they wrote this book years and years ago. I got this book from a black bookstore when I was going to college and see it and I fell in love with it. Man, this guy is awesome. In fact, his foundation is he used to be the accountant at a meat market, not a slaughterhouse. So his information is firsthand. He ain't telling you what he heard. He's telling you what he knows. Listen to this. It says, all manner of infection diseases of animals, including viral diseases, and I can't say that, reputation,
Rickettsia.
spiritual, bacterial, fungal, and protozoal are common in man. Both domestic and wild animals are involved in this transmission. The list of diseases known to be communicated from animals to man is growing quite long. It is growing with each decade. Oh, by the way, this is old information. I got this back in the 90s, in the early 90s. And if it's growing each decade. And so here's what they're trying to tell you. Well, there's disease in animals, but you can't catch it. They lying to you. If the animal got it and you eat it, you can get it too. Yes, you can. And while I'm here, this probably will make me most unpopular.
There you go.
But y'all need to leave them pets out your house.
All right.
Take care of diseases too. Animals were meant to be outside.
Yeah.
No dogs, no cats, no rabbits, no birds, no nothing. Leave that outside.
What do you say, gophers?
Goldfish. Are you assuming that they don't carry disease? And you have it? Now this ought to scare you to death. It says, the feds okay diseased animals for human consumption. The federal agency overseeing food inspection is imposing new rules reclassifying as safe for human consumption animal carcasses with cancer, tumors,
And open source that it's okay.
That's okay for you to eat that. So you say, well, why would they do that, Pastor? Because these politicians have been paid off, and it's all about the money. And so they don't care what you get. By the way, you as African Americans are the guinea pigs. Have y'all know how many noticed years ago? I know when I was a kid, you very seldom saw black people on television advertising anything. How many can identify with this? Have you ever noticed it recently? Every time it's one of these commercials about food, guess who's advertising? Black people. You the guinea pig. They want your money.
Amen.
Yeah, they said,
It's okay for you to eat that food and die. You're expendable anyway. And by the way, in case of see, people keep always trying to talk about how poor black people is. Don't believe that.
Amen.
Black people have $1 trillion spending power. Do you know how much $1 trillion is? That's a lot of money, and they want it. Goes on anything that ain't healthy. Michael Jordan tennis shoes. Listen to this. Delma Jones, a federal food inspector for 41 years who lives in Red Rock, Alabama, said he's so revolted by the lowering of food wholesomeness standards that he doesn't buy meat at the supermarket anymore because he feels it isn't safe to eat. Now, if this is the man that's the inspector, he won't eat it. Why you eat it? Why you serving it to your children? Why you taking them to a fast food restaurant and buying it for them? Listen to this. Among animal diseases, the agency says don't present a health danger. If a cow got cancer, they say that's okay, that won't bother you. If a cow's got pneumonia or a poultry called erysipelas, granular swelling of lymphomas, sores, infection, arteries, diseases caused by intestinal worms. And listen to this. Number 7 ought to scare you to death. It says, in the case of tumors, the guidelines state, remove localized lesion or lesions and pass the affected cartilage course. Just cut it off. Stop it. I was preaching in a city, won't tell you where exactly, I don't want to take it. But I was doing a health message. And I had a business partner who happened to be a butcher. And He was at a particular grocery store chain, which he never would reveal it for fear of them suing him. But he said he was cutting up some meat, and he got a piece and it had this big cancerous sorrel. And so he said he cut it off and he threw it in the garbage can. He said his boss came by and saw it and made him take it out and mix it with other hamburger and grind it. And put the tumor and put it out there for sale, but they weren't trying to lose no money.
And the boss had the nerve.
You know. And by the way, when you eat hamburger, you don't know what you eat.
That's right.
Somebody out there.
Something else, when animals die, they feed those animals to the other living animals, irregardless of what kind of disease they have.
How many actually know and understand where mad cow disease comes from? Do you know how did they get it?
No.
How did they get it? A cow by nature is what? He's a vegetarian. Okay. So what they do now is in order to give them protein and help them, when the animal dies, they mix it up and they put it in his food and they feed it to him. And so because he is by nature a vegetarian, when you feed him animal parts, it deranges his system. It drives him crazy, so you eat it and you go crazy too.
I thought a cow ate grass.
They grind it up in the food, and the cow doesn't know what he's eating.
I'm just saying.
And by the way, they don't just stop at that. Lord have mercy. I wish I had time to share all this stuff with you. They don't just stop at grinding that up. How many understand that when the cows poop, they take that and grind that up and feed that to the cow too? Because there's protein in the poop. They ain't trying to waste no money. So you turn around and eat the cow been eating poop, and you wonder why it tastes so good.
The stuff from the chickens they feed to the cows, and the stuff from the cows they feed to the chickens.
So the chicken eats chicken, the cow eats cow.
We've got all that information from the science, but let's see what the Word of God says from the servant of the Lord. Servant of the Lord says that meat is the greatest disease breeder that can be introduced into the human system.
My God.
That throws out the vinegar. I told y'all I'm not about this stuff. Some of y'all got some chicken in the freezer.
That's true.
You got some hamburger in the freezer.
Yeah.
You got some fish at home.
Yeah.
And some other stuff you shouldn't.
Salmon.
See, what you're going to do, you're going to have this covenant relationship with God. When you go home, you got to throw it out. Don't give it to nobody. Throw it in the garbage because it's garbage. You got to step out on faith. The covenant with God say, I will not put into my body anything that is so harmful to my health anymore. Throw it out. Don't feed it to nobody.
That's right,
If you cooked it for dinner out, throw the dinner out.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. This is what the servant of the Lord says. Flesh was never the best food, but its use is now doubly objectionable since disease in animals is so rapidly increasing. Those who use flesh food little know what they are eating. Often, if they could see the animals when living and know the quality of the meat they eat, they would turn from it with loathing. The guy who wrote the book AIDS, Animals in the Digestive System, he says if you could just go by there and see how they slaughter these animals, it would end any relish you had for eating meat. You just wouldn't eat it anymore. How many understand that there are probably by now, there are probably no safe animals to eat in terms of disease. How many of you understand?
Amen.
None of them safe. And so now, if we're going to get into a covenant relationship with God, we got to get that diet back where it needs to be. See, because the reason we've been harping on this for all these days is because I'm trying to emphasize with you, there are things that you do that sever your connection so that you don't even have an appreciation of what's being taught. And so you got to put yourself in an environment so that you can now have an appreciation for sacred truth.
Yes, sir.
And it starts with your appetite.
Amen.
Amen?
Amen.
People are continually eating flesh that is filled with tuberculosis and cancerous germs. Tuberculosis, cancer, and other fatal diseases are thus communicated. This stuff was written so long ago. She died in 1915, so you know this was written before then. Mm-hmm. So isn't it amazing how that prophetic gift worked? Now God told us a long time ago we ought not eat. The doctors are now confirming what he said back before she died in 1915. Many die of diseases wholly due to what, saints? Eating, while the real cause is not suspected by themselves or by others. I hope we close this door on this.
Amen.
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 Praise the Lord.
Amen. Okay. Share this stuff with you. This is no fairy tale and no joke. The meat would be shoveled into carts, and the man who did the shoveling would not trouble himself to lift out a rat, even when he saw one. These are people that make this out and make sausage. There were things that went into the sausage in comparison with a poison rat that was a kid. Lord have mercy. And so they put some of anything in there, grind it all up. And he said, man, them sausages so good. You're clueless as to what you just said.
Mercy.
Now that was nearly over 100 years ago. And the conditions in the packing houses are now, if possible, even worse than back then. They're even less moral than they were back in 1906. And less moral. And care less. Watch this now. All these processed meats constitute an imaginative food innovation. They are often used as handy and profitable dump that allows the packers to get rid of their scraps, substandard or diseased meat, and other less desirable cuts. All they do is douse up these inferior leftovers with coloring and seasoning to an unsuspecting
Mercy.
To reduce the stench and foul taste, such meat is frequently impregnated with sulfite and a legal additive that gives old and decaying meat a healthy pink blush. Truth be told, when you go into that supermarket, you don't know how long that meat been up there. So they inject it a little bit so it'll look healthy. And by the way, okay, this is what my friend told me that used to be a butcher. He said, whenever meat goes on sale, don't eat it. Whenever meat is on sale, don't eat it. They try to get rid of it now. That meat is probably spoiled, and now, in order to reduce their losses, they try to get rid of it. So if they can get anything from it whatsoever, they reduce the price. But you have no idea that this meat that already passed the point where it's safe to eat anyway.
Mercy.
What about the 5 packs for $19.99 now? 5 family packs for $19.99.
Since I'm vegan vegetarian, I have no clue what you're talking about.
That's what they sell at the grocery stores now.
I'm just saying, I'm clueless. I wouldn't know what they sell it for. I haven't had it since the 70s. Watch this now. Watch this now. Since the meat used is often filthy, what is it? Detergents are frequently used to wash off the dirt and to stretch profits. So-called binders are added to hold the shreds of meat together, generally cereals, but occasionally sawdust. And this is old information. This was back in 1971 when they wrote it. And now they're using glue. By the way, those of you who love chicken nuggets, you don't know what you eat. And they lie to you talking about, this is white meat. You don't know what it's from. And by the way, I want you to stop and think about it. How did they get the nuggets around? It didn't come from a cow like that.
Right.
Or a chicken. How did they get it? So common sense would tell you they had to do something unnatural to get it in that form and that shit. And since they ain't trying to lose no money, and by the way, you know they ain't fit to eat, because who is it selling 10 for? Was it 99 cents or $1? Burger King, what did they sell?
$1.99.
10 for $1.99.
10 one for 15 cents a piece.
Lord have mercy. Now, if they selling 10 of them for $1.99, it's $1.40. Oh Lord have mercy, they fit. You know it ain't fit to eat. And guess how? Have y'all ever just stopped looking when you're trying to go to a restaurant and look and just see who the people is in the restaurant?
Yeah.
It's black people. See a whole lot of black people. See, unfortunately, this is kind of piggyback on some of the stuff we talked about earlier. What has happened is, because women now work, they feel like I gotta feed my family. Then they stop by one of these fast food restaurants and pick their dinner. I'm tired, I don't feel like cooking. I've worked 8-10 hours a day. Kids need to eat, so when I get home, I need to bring dinner. So you stopped at a fast food restaurant and you got what you thought was there. And you fed it to your family thinking, man, I'm a good mother. Not realizing you're aiding in the demise of your children's health. Because you don't have time to cook a wholesome meal for them. Heaven's sake. Watch this now. Processed meats declared too dangerous for human consumption. And this is a few years ago too. In fact, it's so prevalent now that I'm trying to think who it is. Was it Oscar Mayer or one of these people came out and they said, well, we got some wholesome meat. We took out all that stuff out of our processed meat so you can eat these now. I don't believe that they say. Oh, yeah. Listen to this. The World Cancer Research Fund has completed a detailed review of more than 7,000 clinical studies covering links between diet and cancer. Now listen to me, saints of God, all jokes aside. By the time you go through 7,000 clinical studies, you now have enough information to make a scientific analysis. Are you following me? And it can be pretty conclusive and pretty accurate. Are you following me? They went 7,000 different clinical studies, and this is what they came through after all that analysis. It says, its conclusion is rocking the health world with startling bluntness. Processed meats are too dangerous for human consumption. Consumers should stop buying and eating all processed meat products for the rest of their lives. Everybody know what processed meat is? I hope chicken nuggets. Everything in that picture is processed, including the cheese. Processed meats include bacon, sausages, hot dogs, sandwich meat, packaged ham, pepperoni, salami, and virtually all red meat used in frozen prepared meals. They are usually manufactured with a carcinogenic ingredient known as sodium nitrate.
Whoa.
Now they know it causes cancer, but they use it anyway.
Mercy.
Lord have mercy. By the way, how many ever noticed that bacon all of a sudden has become a new thrill? Every time they come up with a sandwich, it's got bacon on it. I'm like, bacon ain't new, y'all. It's been around for quite a while.
They got chocolate covered bacon now.
They got bacon day.
You know, they come out with a sandwich and they got bacon on it.
Everywhere.
Yeah, everything.
Bacon all around. Disgusting.
This sodium nitrate is what we're talking about. It's used as a color fixer. What is used by that? A color fixer by meat companies to turn packaged meats a bright red color so that they look fresh. Unfortunately, sodium nitrate also results in the formation of what, saints of God?
Cancer-causing
Nitrosamines in the human body. And this leads to what? Sharp increase in the cancer risk for those who eat.
Mercy.
Now here's what you can't do. You cannot have been exposed to this information and go home and talk about I'm gonna eat this last piece of meat. Can't do it. You can't do it. See, Bible says in the time of our ignorance, God did what? He winked it. You're no longer ignorant.
Amen. Amen.
See, in fact, says God, for you to eat any kind of meat or animal byproduct after all we shared with you this week, it's now rebellion.
Amen.
It's rebellion.
Amen.
The rebellion that is the same rebellion that Satan started in heaven. It's the same rebellion. You are rebelling against the authority of God. God has the authority to dictate what you eat. You are His by creation, His by religion. He has the power and the authority to make those dictates to you.
Amen.
So when you say, I ain't going to do it, you say, well, God, you ain't going to dictate to me. Okay. But I'm going to have the final say so on this.
Mercy.
A 2005 University of Hawaii study found that processed meats increase the risk of pancreatic cancer. How much? 67%. How many know that's a high risk? 67%.
Mercy.
Another study revealed that every 50 grams of processed meat consumed daily increases the risk of colorectal cancer. And by the way, there's a caption out there that says that hot dogs cause butt cancer. You need to leave them alone too.
You know what?
I love hot dogs. Lord have mercy. Lord have mercy. And so, saints of God, we no longer have any excuse because the information is out here. It's out there. And we've been exposed to it. So now we know why God does not want us to eat.
Mercy.
Before we sit back and say, well, I know He said it, but I don't understand why. But now you know why. Truly, thanks to God, there is no amount of these dead animals that is safe to eat.
Amen.
None. In fact, you've got to be so careful, because here's what people just say. I know I have dentists do this. Say, well, I don't eat meat, but I'm going to go to McDonald's and get some fries. You still eat meat. Them fries. Because they cook them fries in the same grease that they cook everything else. And by the way, since we here, I I shared with you last night, somebody wasn't here. I told you how many ingredients of McDonald's fries, and how many did I tell you? There's 19 different ingredients in McDonald's French fries. 19 different ingredients in a McDonald's. Yes, ma'am.
Can you Subway like vegetables?
I'm sorry.
Can you Subway?
Oh, no, ma'am. No, ma'am.
The vegetables. What if we just get a vegetable salad?
Let me help you out. Okay, let me help you out.
Here we go.
See, the problem, I love these questions. It helps me out.
Amen.
The problem with Subway, first of all, because they serve what kind of meat? Processed meat. So to eliminate all the processed meat, eliminate all that stuff up there. So we got to throw that out. But even if you go to the vegetables, what's your next problem? The bread. The bread. I didn't think I would have enough time to get to all that, but since you brought it, I'm going to share this with you. There's an ingredient in most white bread out here now that causes cancer, and Subway was number one of them. In fact, if you was following this on the internet, you would find out that there was a big rigmarole out there about Subway. So Subway promised to change their bread, and they did, but it's still white. Still ain't safe. So now, if you go to Subway, you got to get you a bowl of vegetables.
They got wheat bread too. Yeah, what about that?
But
I want you to listen to me. Listen to me, because we try to help somebody. When you go to a restaurant, do you know what's in this bread? Do you ask them what the ingredients are? No. Number one, do you know whether or not there's sugar in that bread? You don't know what you get.
Right.
So you just sit there and say, man, I'm going to the restaurant, I'm going to give me a sandwich. But you don't know what you're eating. Now, let me help you, because you said, Pastor, you taking away everything. I ain't trying to take away everything. I'm just trying to tell you, you need to be extremely particular. Now, the only bread I know that's safe,
okay.
that I know of, is Ezekiel bread. That's safe. Yes, ma'am.
Taking jalapeno peppers and banana peppers.
I'm sorry.
Jalapeno peppers and banana peppers. That's good.
The banana peppers is okay. Why would the jalapeno peppers not be okay?
Because it's hot.
They're too hot. That means that your stomach would have a hard time trying to digest it. Right. So that's why you want to leave that alone. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, look at the breads out there that is from the health food store. One or two ingredients. They're expensive, but they're
They are. What you have to do is, you have to know what these ingredients are before you just pick up a loaf of bread.
Amen.
Now, here's why I have found that. Because I think bread for us is about $6 a loaf.
Yeah.
You know, and most people sit back and say, man, I can't pay no $6 loaf of bread when I go down here and get me some white bread for 99 cents a loaf. See, here's what I do know. Do you think God is aware of your fixed income? Yes. How many know He's aware of your fixed income? How many are aware that He knows exactly how much you got? Well, let me help you out then. David said, once I was young, but now I'm old. David said, I've never seen the righteous forsaken or its seed begging for bread.
That's right, man.
I want to hear about your fixed income. I want to hear about your faith in God.
Yes, sir. Amen. That's the key.
I want to hear about, do you trust Him
Yes.
to be able to provide for you even on a fixed income?
Amen.
How many understand even on a fixed income, God expects you to be faithful with tithes and offerings and all that stuff, even on a fixed income? Well, saints, I'm told that my time is up. We brought these things up to kind of whet your appetite, so you need to start reading and studying some of this stuff for yourself so that you can know. I do have a few other things up there that I wanted to share with you.
Well, go ahead. What's that?
Give me 5 more minutes. Give me 5 more minutes. Let me get back. This is just a review, because I shared this with you once before.
Tomato.
How many remember seeing this?
Yes.
The high amount of sugar consumption in America is toxic and ultimately is doing what to us? Killing us. All right. Toxic means what? Active as or having the effect of poison. So if you understand what we're sharing with you now, sugar is a poison. Are you following me? Amen. It's a poison. Dr. Robert Lustig, a pediatric endocrinologist at the University of California, said he believes the main reason obese children get sick is due to the amount of sugar in their diet. According to Lustig, high sugar ingestion leads to what? Obesity. What else? Type 2 diabetes. What else? Hypertension and even heart disease. You know, it blew my mind when I began to do this thing. How many of you knew that sugar can lead to heart disease? Lord have mercy. Research out of the University of California, Davis is now backing up this claim. The study showed that excess consumption of high fructose corn syrup increases a type of artery clogging cholesterol, which in turn increases the risk for heart disease. Americans consume nearly 130 pounds of added sugar per year, including both sugar and high fructose corn syrup. Lustig said that metabolically, there is no difference between the two. And one is no healthier than the other. Are you following that? That's the problem with this bread, because either the bread is going to have high fructose corn syrup or sugar, or some other company, which will make it null and void. And that's just part of the ingredients. Watch this now. Eric Stice, a neuroscientist at the Oregon Research Institute, revealed that sugar is also what? Extremely addictive, similar to some drugs like cocaine. But you telling me, since I shared this with you, you ain't stopped eating. Listen to this. The white crystal that is sugar is just as evil as the white crystal known as cocaine. You might as well go on and get high. It's doing the same damage to your body. The most widespread addiction in the world is what? Sugar addiction. That's why it's so hard for you to give it up. It's addictive. It's addictive. Watch, look what the servant of the Lord says. From the light given me, sugar, when largely used, is what? More interesting. Listen to me, saints of God. You cannot be exposed to this information and continue like you never heard it. You can't do it. God holds you accountable for everything you've heard these last 2 weeks. Your life can never be the same. You can't go backwards now. You are now exposed to the truth as it is in Christ Jesus, and God expects you to reform your life. Watch this now. In 1957, Dr. William Coder Martin tried to answer the question, when is a food and when is it a poison? His working definition of poison was this: any substance applied to the body, ingested or developed within the body, which causes or may cause disease. If it causes a disease, it's a poison. It stopped being food. If it causes a heart attack, it's a poison. If it causes you to have hypertension, it's a poison. If it causes you to be obese, it's a poison. Are you following this?
explain hypertension.
That's high blood pressure. Dr. Martin classified refined sugar as what?
Yes.
It's a poison, Sam. It's a poison. All right.